Have you lost your mojo? Maybe you never even had it to begin with. Well, friends, that's exactly what I want to help you with today. It's Lisa Young-Sutton, and I have something a little different for you today. Now, before I begin, I'd like to assure all of you doubters or woo-woo phobes who may be watching that there's scientific evidence to support everything I'm about to share with you, for those who care about such things. Now, what is the greatest challenge for new card readers, psychics, mediums, animal communicators, and the like? It's the confidence that comes from calmness, clear-headedness, and connection, all of which lead to cogency. Altogether, I call it mojo. Mojo is defined as a magic charm or amulet, or more broadly, a magical power. And to me, life is nothing but magic, if you just choose to see it. And yes, we all have magical powers. So, how many of you have seen the Austin Powers movies? Probably most people have. Okay, so as you recall, he lost his mojo. All right, so interestingly, the entire movie series was built around the theme of mojo, and Austin's last name was Powers. And for the sake of brevity, I'm going to lump together divination, fortune-telling, mediumship, and all of those things, and just call it psychic endeavors for the rest of this video. Okay. All right, so all of these psychic undertakings are attempts to reach a higher level of understanding or to see the unseen. So much of what we receive can be unsubstantiable, so it requires a lot of blind faith. This can be difficult enough when we perform it for ourselves, but add the pressure of performing it for others, and our doubts and fears can stop us dead in our tracks. From the start, I was told that I needed self-confidence, and I should always trust my first impressions. Right? How many of you have heard that? The problem was that those first impressions weren't always correct. And, you know, throughout my life, I've always been told I had chutzpah. But that was different somehow. That chutzpah I had in my everyday life did not carry over into my psychic work. It took many hours of meditation to figure it out, but then one day it hit me. The confidence we have in our normal awakened state isn't the same as the confidence we need to do psychic work. Our brains are operating in beta during our normal states, and any confidence we have in beta can be related to ego. The confidence we need in performing psychic work takes place in alpha, where ego does not exist. Alpha is where the magic happens. Alpha is where we are in touch with our inner selves and where we rise above all of our fears and doubts. Alpha is where mojo resides. Now, I want you to consider this scenario, okay? You're a new card reader, and you've been telling everybody, about the amazing things you're seeing and experiencing, and a friend comes to you and she's upset, and she thinks her boyfriend is cheating on her, and she asks you to read the cards for her. Now, you're still learning, but she already thinks you're amazing, so the pressure's on, right? Okay, you have to perform. So you get out your deck and you try to remember your ritual and you think you're doing everything right, but you're still feeling disconnected. So, you know, you try to remember your usual steps, right? Maybe you light a candle or recite a prayer or a mantra. You knock on the deck, right, to get rid of all that residual energy from past readings. But it just doesn't feel the same. So now you're getting nervous. And you're like, you're furiously shuffling the hell out of those cards, right? Trying to force yourself to feel something. And then suddenly you feel like you've been shuffling forever and you're starting to really get embarrassed. And you decide just to lay the cards out because after all, you've been told to always trust them, right? And what happens? You lay out some cards and you're like, wait a minute. How can these be Lenormand cards? I've never even seen these cards before. Well, guess what? These aren't Lenormand cards. I just did it for emphasis, to emphasize the point. These are, this is a great little deck, by the way. Mildred Payne's Secret Pocket Oracle. I love these cards. Okay. What happened in that scenario, you lost your mojo. That's it. All right. So what can we do about that? Well, I'm going to help you, hopefully. Okay. So where does mojo reside? That's the first thing. Can you guys see this? Wait, hang on. Where does mojo reside? Okay, mojo resides in alpha. Okay, so what is alpha? It's a mental state, all right? Alpha is a brain wave or neural oscillation measurement. Brain waves are measured in frequency units called hertz, capital H, small z. There it is, okay, capital H, small z. Other than alpha, we have gamma, beta, theta, and delta. Now, gamma is the fastest, okay? It's used for, where's gamma on here? Okay, so it's going this way. This is fastest to slowest. All right, so gamma is the fastest and is used for high-level information processing. Beta is where we normally are. That's where our brains normally function in our everyday lives. Alpha is where we're completely relaxed and open to our subconscious. It's the most relaxed state we can be in while we're awake. It's where perfect focus exists. And studies describe this state as being best for clear cognitive thinking, recall, insight, and intuition. Now let me repeat that in case I'm losing anyone. Cognitive thinking, clear cognitive thinking, recall, insight, and intuition. Okay, now who doesn't want all of that if you're performing psychic work? Now, an interesting point is Albert Einstein's brain waves were measured when he was working, and it was shown that he was always in alpha when he zoned out and became completely engrossed in solving a problem. He was constantly in alpha. Every time he was interrupted, he immediately jumped back to beta. Alpha is also where REM sleep takes place and where we dream. Okay, so what doesn't exist in alpha is just as important as what does. What doesn't exist there is fear and doubt. You have no fear of being wrong when you're in alpha. This is where you find the truth. Truth exists in alpha, okay? Now, theta is a deeper sleep level. It's where lucid dreaming takes place, as well as heightened states of creativity and vivid visualizations, insight, and inspiration. I reach this state in deep meditations, but it's not where I read cards, though. I was also a lucid dreamer as a child, so I'm very familiar with theta, but that is not where you are going to be performing your work when you are awake. All right, delta is the slowest, and it's that deep sleep. It's so deep that you're basically unconscious, and it's really important because it's where healing and cell regeneration takes place. And the sad thing is that it's common in infants and very young children, but as we age, we experience much less of it. So, from all of this, we can say that learning to meditate and slow down your mind will make you physically healthier as well as mentally and spiritually. So, how do we get to alpha? Well, before you do anything, be sure you won't be disturbed. That's hugely important, okay? Tell everyone in the house that you're going to be incommunicado for a while. Turn off your phone or your notifications. I use, hang something on the door. I use one of these, do not disturb, writer at work. That actually looks like my first typewriter. Yes, I'm that old. Okay, but you can't relax if you're worried about interruptions, all right? Now, going to alpha is all about relaxing. That really is the bottom line. So it's about relaxing physically and mentally. And believe it or not, it all starts with breathing. You know that thing that you're doing right now that you probably never think about? All right, let's see. Can you see that? Okay. Okay, so, how you breathe is actually more important than you realize. So, what happens when you're upset? What does everybody say to you? Take a breath or take a deep breath. And that's because when we're upset or stressed, we stop breathing. we hold our breath, or we hyperventilate, which is rapid, shallow breathing. Now, to reach alpha, you need to perform mindful or focused breathing. Now, this is a sheet that I printed off the internet, and it just shows all of the benefits of mindful breathing, which is actually a form of meditation. Okay, there is a form of meditation just called breathing meditation. All right, and an interesting fact is that the words breath and spirit come from the same Latin word. Spirare is the verb, or spiritus is the noun. And all of you Catholics who have heard the Mass in Latin know the phrase Spiritus Sanctus, which means the Holy Spirit. So breath and spirit are interconnected. Quieting your mind begins with slow, deep, abdominal expanding breathing. Okay? So, once you get your breathing under control, the next thing is visualization. Welcome to your mental screen. Okay? So I'm just going to share how I learned to do this, which started with my remote viewing training and then became my own through daily meditation practice. So basically, I start by sitting, facing south, closing my eyes, and looking up 20 degrees. Now, the facing south and looking up 20 degrees actually came from the studies they did on remote viewers of how they were doing it. And that was one of the common denominators, that they all seemed to be, that they did best with their eyes closed and looking up about 20 degrees, and that is where they found their mental screen. So, an important point that I need to mention is that when you are in alpha, you are no longer an actor in a movie, but are now watching a movie. Even if it's a movie that you're starring in, you are now, it's almost like you move behind yourself and you're watching yourself, or you're watching other people or whatever, but you are no longer in the movie, you are watching the movie, and that's very important. Now, I started with a countdown. A countdown, you can do an online search. A countdown is another method of getting into a meditative state. And it's the method that I learned and still practice today. It's very easy. I started by counting down 100 to 1. And it took me that long to get clear-headed and relaxed. Now I count down 3 to 1. I can get there in 3 seconds. I think originally it took me an hour, and there were times when I counted 100 to 1. I counted down, and when I got to 1, I still wasn't there, and I had to start over. But, you know, what can I say? I'm tenacious, so I was going to master it. Now, I do want to show you, let me see. So what I do is I start by visualizing the number 3 times on my mental screen. Now, you just have to picture a 3 that you've seen. This is not imagining, all right? This is visualization. The difference is imagining is something you've never seen, but visualization is just bringing to mind something you've seen. So I think I started by looking at the doors from, what was that game show? No, I can't think of it now. Anyway, they had doors. It was like, what's behind, do you want the prize behind door number 1, 2, or 3? So there were 3 doors. So I just saw that door number 3 opening and closing 3 times. And that's where you just run through your physical body, okay? From head to toe, and you imagine every body part and make sure it's relaxed. You can do your neck rolls and shoulder rolls. Oh, did you hear that? Oh my gosh, that was my neck. You do shoulder rolls, you go down and relax your spine, you know, just go all the way down until you get to your toes. So when you're visualizing the number 3 times, that's when you run through your body, physically relax. Next, you're gonna run through the number 2 3 times. This is where you raise your vibration. This is where you imagine things that make you smile, things that make you happy. Just imagine beautiful places. Some people it's the beach, some people it's being in a field, in the woods, you know, whatever it is. Okay, next you're gonna visualize the number 1 3 times. Now, that's where you're going in. Okay, so I started early on imagining, right? I started seeing things. And what I did then is I went on the internet and I found images. I did searches for the things that I was seeing in my meditations, and I found images. Just because I always like to have a tangible, you know, a physical thing to look at. But these are the things that I was seeing when I started meditating. The first thing I saw was a door, okay? And there was a key, and I had to take the key and open the door, and the door went to this gorgeous garden, all right? Then in the garden was a tree. I have so much stuff on here. I have so many things I want to show you. Within that garden was a tree with a door, okay? And I had to go in that door, and in that tree was an elevator. And that elevator took me down 5 stories, and I wound up in something that looks like this. I wound up in my beautiful, beautiful, what I call my sacred place, all right? That is where I go every time I perform psychic work. That is exactly where I go. So, those are my beautiful pictures. Okay. Now, once you are relaxed, and at this point you should be very relaxed. You should pretty much be an alpha at this point. But don't worry if you're not, because there's still a lot more you can do. All right. Mantras. Reciting mantras. Hang on. Okay. Mantras, basically what you're doing when you recite mantras or chant mantras is you're giving your left brain something tangible to do to get it out of the way so that your right brain can become active. That's pretty much what you're doing. Let's see, this was the first one I started with, Om Mani Padme Hum, and that is of Buddhist origin, means jewel of the lotus being your spiritual heart. There's Om, right? Everybody knows that one. Sanskrit, Hindu, it means it is or to become, and it's the vibration of universal consciousness. That's a nice easy one. You don't have to remember too much to chant that over and over. Then we have the Ho'oponopono, the ancient Chinese mantra. I love you, I'm sorry, please forgive me, thank you. And it's a practice of asking forgiveness and reconciliation with all of life, the cleansing of errors of thought, which are the origin of problems and sickness in the physical world. So it is a practice of repeating these phrases that what it does is it releases stagnant energy trapped in your body. And it truly opens your heart chakra. And I'm going to talk more about that in a moment, how important the heart chakra is. Okay, so some of you just may prefer to recite certain phrases like disconnect to reconnect. I open to the possibilities of the universe. I am the change. Now remember, you would just pick one of these and you'd be chanting it over and over because you don't want to have to stop and think about this. That's the whole point, is just to zone out, to just keep chanting the same thing over and over. Kind of like praying the rosary or something, right? Love is the only miracle there is. So that's from Osho. And then Gandhi's, be the change you wish to see in the world. I love myself. I believe in myself. I support myself. Okay, those are all wonderful mantras or phrases that you can chant over and over. All right, so what are some other rituals you can do to help you get to alpha? Well, grounding and earthing. Okay, yes, there is science behind grounding and earthing. I am a big tree hugger from the 60s. I just hugged 3 trees this morning, and it was a good day because no one saw me, so I didn't have to stop and explain myself to anyone. I didn't have anyone saying, are you okay? All right, anyway, the earth is full of negative ions, okay? We live artificial lifestyles where we absorb way too many positive ions. So in this sense, positive is bad, negative is good when we're talking about ions. Where do positive ions come from? Carpeting, metal, plastic, air pollution, and mostly electromagnetic fields from computers, Wi-Fi, cell phones, fluorescent lights, and televisions. So there you go. You're surrounded by them right now, aren't you? So grounding can be as simple as walking barefoot on soil, sand, or grass, hugging a tree. If you don't have access to any of these, you can handle house plants. You can put your hands right in the soil. bathing or soaking your feet in salt water, Epsom salts or sea salt. What you're trying to do is, trade your negative ions or your positive ions for the negative ions, okay? So negative ions, remember, those are the good ones, increase the flow of oxygen to the brain. Negative ions also produce positive vibes, which raise your vibration, okay? So now what am I talking about when I say raise your vibration? It's a phrase everybody hears, but do you really know what it is? Well, what they're talking about are the vibration of molecules. We're all made up of molecules, right? Everything is molecules. This paper is made up of molecules. Here, this crystal ball is made up of molecules. This table, all right, we all are. And they are constantly vibrating and moving. So I like to think of it more as loosening your vibration rather than raising it. But what stagnates your vibration is fear and doubt and anger. It tightens up your vibration. Okay? What loosens your vibration is love and joy and happiness, right? Some people dance, they stretch, they perform yoga. You can listen to solfeggio tones, and this is a big one. Now you need headphones, okay? You really need headphones. Now most of you have, well, I'm not going to get the knot out now, but anyway, most of you are familiar with earbuds, right? And they're fine, but they're not the best. But if they're all you have, hey, that's fine. I started out with them. And then I got noise canceling. I got noise canceling wireless MP3 headphones. Now these, when I put these on, I really don't hear anything else except what's coming through these headphones. These are fabulous. And then, oh, here, I have to show this. I got this for Christmas. I love this thing. Come on, these are my sleep headphones. That's what this is called, sleep headphones. And again, it's MP3. And it also covers your eyes. You don't have to have it covering your eyes, but it can. And the little headphones are right here. They cover your ears. This thing is fabulous. Now, this is not noise canceling, though. So I do use this sometimes when I sleep, but I use my noise canceling headphones when I'm working. All right. And then, just to cover your eyes, too, if you really want to block out all the light and everything, just get one of these little eye patches. This thing was like a couple dollars. Okay, so listening to solfeggio tones. Let me get back to that. All right. What are solfeggio tones? These are important. Okay. Solfeggio tones, remember do, re, mi, la, so, do, wait, what? Do, re, mi, fa, so, la, ti, okay, from, Maria sang it in The Sound of Music. Well, that's based on an ancient musical scale, which was originally re, mi, fa, sol, la, okay? They are tones that actually hold a specific frequency that balances and harmonizes our body in different ways. So when you see all those music videos on YouTube that have a 3-digit number and the HZ after them, those are solfeggio tones. And they do different things. So those different numbers have a different effect on you. Okay? An interesting point is that all classical music was originally created to the frequency of 432 hertz. And that is why it's so soothing. I mean, I still love Bach and Mozart and Chopin, and that was all originally 432 hertz, that music. Instruments unearthed in ancient Egypt had been tuned to this frequency as well, which is totally fascinating to me. In Buddhism or Hindu chakra beliefs, 432 hertz is associated with the heart chakra. Okay, again with the heart chakra. So this makes 432 hertz perfect to listen to before you do your work to raise your vibration. All right, now if you want to listen to something during your work, which I almost always do, I listen to 741 or 852 hertz, which awakens intuition. Now, one thing you have to be careful of is make sure these YouTube videos that you're listening to don't have subliminal messages. You know, obviously, if you are doing psychic work and trying to receive impressions, you don't want to be receiving them from your music. That's not what you're there for. Okay. So, let's see. How else can you raise your vibration? Chakras. Okay, you want to make sure your chakras are open and aligned. All right, now I said I was going to mention the heart chakra again because it's so important. I find that most people, when they are learning to do psychic work, they focus on their third eye chakra. But all 7 of these chakras are important. And one of the most important ones is the heart chakra. And that's often overlooked. Now here's a quote from Deepak Chopra, which I love. He says, "Love and confidence are intertwined more than you might realize. If you love and have found peace through your higher self, the thoughts and words of others have much less, if any, impact on your personal confidence scale." So again, this is all about confidence, right? It's all about mojo. Okay. So definitely work on your chakras. Now, how can you do that? My gosh, there's so much information online about how to work with your chakras. And don't forget things like Chakra Wisdom Oracle cards by Tori Hartman. I love them. The Secret Language of Color cards. Okay, now this is also related to your chakras, right? The different colors. Okay. Other cards, you know, just talking about raising your vibration, there are a lot of different cards you can use to raise your vibration. The Osho Zen Tarot cards. Just be sure they are uplifting, inspirational cards. This was my very first Oracle deck, I believe. Gateway Oracle cards by Denise Lynn. This is just a little affirmation deck. 50 affirmation cards. Ascended Masters deck by Doreen Virtue is another good one. This one my husband got me for Christmas. This is a great one too. Soul Truth Self-Awareness card deck. So, you know, if you're in a funk and you just, whatever, you just can't get your work day out of your head, or, I don't know, you're just aggravated by your commute home or whatever it is, get out these cards. You know, another thing is just to surround yourself by things that raise your vibration, right? Whether it's angels, totem animals, your crystals, your favorite crystals, right? Things like that. I'm a huge crow person. I have a great affinity for crows. So I have a lot of crow things. Okay, so don't forget that your space also has a vibration. So not just you, but your space. So how can you raise the vibration of your space? Sound is a good way. Okay, here we have a Tibetan singing bowl. I could listen to that all day. If I could just pay someone to just sit and do this. Is that heavenly or what? Oh my gosh, stop. Okay, and then, you know, just chimes, right? That's another great one. Bells. Okay, check this bell out. This bell is from the 18th century. All right, I mean, look how that thing was made. Okay, now what does sound do? Sound actually breaks up the ions in the air. All of those positive ions, it breaks them up. And that's what you're looking for. Just you want to shake everything up. What else breaks up these ions? Smoke. Okay, here is my pyramid. That's the, what do you call those little guys? You know, the little cone incense. That's the cone incense burner. And then I have my, well, this is the stick holder. Of course, the stick just fell on the floor. I can't get it right now. And then I have my Palo Santo is actually my favorite. I love my Palo Santo in my shell. Most people use sage, but don't discount other things. I mean, sage is not my favorite. Like I said, Palo Santo, juniper, rosemary, cedar, sweetgrass. Use all of these things to create a ritual. Now, if you're bothered by smoke, get a spray. Get an aroma therapy spray. I have diffusers. I have one running behind me right now. I have them running all over the place at all times. I love aromatherapy. But it does have, it's not just something that smells good. It's actually breaking up those positive ions in the atmosphere. Okay, you can buy blends, by the way, like this was a blend, right? Or you can just make your own. I make my own. I primarily use lavender and citrus oils, ylang-ylang, patchouli. Yes, I'm a patchouli lover. Frankincense, things like that. Okay, so all of those things will help you to raise your vibration, okay? To reach alpha, to calm yourself, to clear the atmosphere, to clear your mind. What are other things you can do? Gazing, okay? Scrying. Here we have a crystal ball. You can use the black screen on your phone. If your phone is off, that black screen. You can stare at running water. Okay, some people just stare at a bowl of water, but I don't know, that never worked for me. But you can just stare at running water. My favorite has always been, wait, let me zoom out, not zone out. I don't want to zone out or the video stuff. Okay, so yeah, candle gazing. That is one of my favorites. I can gaze at a candle flame and completely zone out. And how many of you have heard of the 1,000-mile stare? Oh, look at my cute little candle snuffer. Come on, window squirrely. I had to show that. Yeah, the 1,000-mile stare. I actually learned that from a former Marine when I was working with the law enforcement in canine training. And he told me about the 1,000-mile stare. He was a former special ops. I can't remember what he did, but he said the 1,000-mile stare is when you stare at something until you no longer see it, but see through it. I never forgot that. I thought that was the coolest thing. And yes, that will happen. Okay, so what are mojo killers? Mojo killers. Oh no. These are things you have got to look out for. Mojo killers are, I had a sheet somewhere. Well, I'll just tell you. Okay, mojo killers. Performing the work when you're not ready yet. Okay, yes, you have to believe in yourself. Here, I'll give you this to look at. Okay, so that puts too much pressure on you, okay? Don't compare yourself to others. You have to learn at your own pace. You have to lay a solid foundation before you attempt more advanced techniques. Don't get ahead of yourself or you will undo everything. So, yes, that will kill your mojo if you're attempting something and you're not ready yet. Remember the Mildred Payne Pocket Oracle demonstration. All right. Another one is you're not grounded. You're just too buzzed up. You have too much in your head. You're too focused on all your own stuff. So go out, ground yourself, clear your space, clear your head, all of that. That is a mojo killer too. Being told you're wrong. Okay, this is huge. This almost destroyed me early on. Okay, what I mean by that is when you join these practice groups online and you're all excited about impressions you received or card readings you did and other readers say, oh no, that's all wrong. Or worse yet is if an instructor tells you that's all wrong. And I don't mean they're telling you that your method was wrong, that you misread a card or something. I mean that they're telling you that your impressions were all wrong. And that will definitely kill your mojo. So protect yourself from that until you are ready, until you have enough successes under your belt to give you a strong foundation so that will just, slide off you, okay? Don't practice on a skeptic. Just don't do it. Don't do that to yourself. My gosh. Find someone supportive to practice on, someone who does not think this work is ridiculous, someone who believes in it, otherwise they, you know, a skeptic will just discredit everything you're seeing and will totally destroy your mojo. Trying to force it, okay? You can't force intuition. Intuition only comes to you when you're relaxed. You have to relax, you have to ask, and then you have to allow it to come to you. You cannot force yourself to see it, all right? It's kind of like trying to grasp water in your fist. You open your fist, it's gone, right? You have to, you know, you can't grasp water. You have to soften your hands, right? You have to relax, then you can hold water. Okay, you're too emotionally or physically unbalanced. What, you know, if you're too upset, even if you're too happy, believe it or not, you know, you could be so happy that you're not going to see anything but good stuff. Or physical pain too. You know, you really can't do this work if you're in states like that. So, you know, don't practice during those times. And lastly, if you're too attached to one particular outcome, you've got to let go of what you think you're going to see and be open to whatever appears. The universe can produce multiple alternatives that you've never even considered, but you have to be open to receive them. So that, my friends, is the secret to finding your mojo and to keeping your mojo, okay? It's all about being able to get to alpha. The only way to get to alpha is to relax your body and your mind, to practice your breathing, okay? Practice makes perfect. Like I said, originally it took me an hour to get there. Now I can do it in 3 seconds. But if you start practicing today, from the first moment of just practicing relaxing your body, closing your eyes, doing some deep abdominal breathing, visualize a beautiful place and go to that place every time you perform your psychic work, from day one, that will make a huge difference. Okay, now go everybody, practice, give all of this a try. Thank you so much for watching. For those of you who are still with me and not asleep, thank you so much. Just watch this video as many times as you have to take it all in. Thank you. Have a great day, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye, everybody.